How are you? Good. I wanted to tell you a little bit about myself before I begin my speech, which I'm a teacher, so it's right here in case I forget anything. I got all my points. I've been a teacher now. I'll be starting my 18th year. I had my first child in 2007. And I realized that now, wow, I'm not just a teacher. I can't just complain about teaching. I can't see it and write letters and do whatever and then just say whatever. I'm not going to make any changes. So I'm seeing education now not only from a teacher's standpoint and a community member standpoint, but I'm also seeing it from a parent standpoint. And now that I'm running for this position, I'm also seeing it from a political standpoint. So I've kind of got the whole round gamut of education, and I really do think that if we work together, we can make a difference for our kids. What I'm seeing is a lot of people saying, well, you know, we've got these testing companies and we've got these book companies that are all really lining their pockets with a lot of money that really should be going to our students. So while I speak to you about my platform, which is accountability, budget, and community choice, I'd like for you to remember that I'm not only speaking to you as a teacher, I'm not only speaking to you as a community member, but I'm also speaking to you as a mom. I have a 3-year-old and I have a 9-month-old. I know. I told my husband, I said, if I can raise a family, work full-time, and run a campaign, I got this state school superintendent thing. So I began teaching in 1993, and at that time, the average amount of money spent on a student was $7,472 in today's money. Today, we spend $10,889 per student, yet we're ranked 50th in graduation rates. We're 27th in spending, ladies and gentlemen, but we're 50th. We are dead last in graduation rates. I've watched Georgia in the 17 years that I've been teaching go from being precariously on the edge of failing its students to downright failing its students. And we need a change. We need a choice over the status quo, and I hope that I can be that choice. I'm running on, again, as I said, the ABCs of education: accountability, budget, and community choice. What I've seen as a teacher is that much of the onus for accountability is going on our educators. It's not going on anybody else. We've got this partnership that has been broken. Accountability isn't just for teachers. It's for all of our stakeholders in education. That's teachers, that's administrators, parents, community members, politicians, policymakers. All of those people are accountable to receive and provide an appropriate education. Because education is, if anything else, it's an individual initiative with community support. An individual initiative, community support. We have to help and support our students. We have to help and support our schools. We have to help and support our teachers. The community has a responsibility to ensure an appropriate education for its students. Schools are accountable to ensure that education as well. Students, those are the main players in education, are accountable to receive an appropriate education and to get the information that's being given to them. Teachers, we're the most important ones, we're accountable to disseminate the information using our best practices. All right? So the state, then, what does it do? What does the State Department of Education do? Well, the state is accountable to disseminate standards of learning and to gather the testing data for its schools, and that is where the job of the State Department ends. It is not up to the state to determine curriculum. The community and the community schools are responsible for that. It is not up to the state to decide that every child is going to graduate from high school and every child is going to go to college. Parents and students shoulder that responsibility. It is the teachers and the parents, it's the students and the parents' responsibility also to make sure that they're coming to school and they're ready to learn. Teachers need to teach, students need to learn. We have got to get rid of any disruptions that are happening in the classroom so that that can happen. So the responsibility of the Department of Education, then, is to ensure that taxpayer money is being spent appropriately, accurately, and responsibly. I am not, as state school superintendent. I'm not going to lower cut scores to make myself look better and throw out funny numbers as far as testing to appease our Georgia residents, which is what's been happening. Apparently, the CRCT in 3rd grade, the cut score was lowered to 45%. So a child in 3rd grade can get 18 out of 40 questions right and still move on. That's not right. Last time I checked, well, where I'm from, below 70 is failing a class. Yet these kids can get 45% on a test. No. And sure, it makes us look like, yeah, we're passing all of these tests. We are great. We rock. No, we're not. We're failing our kids.
Yep.
So much of this testing that I just talked about is because the federal government has decided that we do it. Unfortunately, the federal government's not giving us the money in order to do these tests, in order to support these students, in order to fulfill the mandates. The federal government offers 9.1% and provides 9.1% of Georgia's budget for education. Yet the mandates under No Child Left Behind and now Race to the Top initiative far exceed the mandates or the funds that we are being given. If we tell the federal government to keep its money, if we tell the federal government to keep the 9.1%, then we will be able to give our money back to our schools and back to our children.
Man, I've been here. I've been waiting for somebody to say that.
So the state, too, is also pushing mandates on our schools. Did you all know how many floors the State Department of Education takes up in one of its buildings? 5.5 floors. 5.5 floors. So and many of these positions are unnecessary, but the mandates that they're giving the schools so that they can keep their position are shackling our students and shackling our schools, and they're debilitating our kids. One of my jobs, one of my, I guess, things that I really think is necessary when I went to visit the DOE, I said, these jobs aren't necessary. We need to get rid of any position that does not have direct contact with students, at least on a daily basis. If a job doesn't have direct contact with a student at some point during the day, I'm not so sure they need their position. And we're seeing a lot of these people who are running for state school superintendent who have those jobs. Technology directors are excluded from that because you are so important. You don't know. So the testing frenzy, as I like to call it, is very costly. We don't need to test our kids every year. We certainly don't need to test them multiple times a year. The